Welcome to Mamas and Mimosas. This is Roni.
I'm Marianne.
I'm Janelle.
And today we're talking all about surviving flu season, our favorite cold remedies, how we prevent it from spreading throughout the whole household, flu shots, hospital visits, and the difference between mom colds versus dad colds. So grab your mimosas, pop in your earphones, and let's dive right into episode 11.
I don't know if it was dirty or clean.
Oh my God.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm shining.
Woo! That was good, guys.
Hello, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hello.
So first, we want to thank you for subscribing to our podcast. We can't believe that we have over 1,000 plays. And it's all thanks to you
Thank
for
you.
subscribing, for leaving reviews, for sharing us with your mom tribe. This community was created for you, and it's only growing because of you guys. So thank you so much.
Mamas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Roni.
So, ladies, let's get right into this episode. How do you try to prevent your kids from getting sick? We'll start.
I'll
Marianne.
go first. How do I prevent it? I usually make sure he drinks orange juice in the mornings and like
That vitamin
always,
C.
yeah, that vitamin C. And then he does his little multivitamins every morning. But if
some?
it's like winter and I know all the kids at school are sick, then his breakfast always has orange juice. And then, because sometimes it's hard to get him to eat oranges. I think because when there's seeds in it, he like gets pissed and doesn't want the orange anymore.
Yeah.
So orange juice, always washing his hands after like playing outside or playing like when we go to the gym and he plays with their toys or whatever.
Okay, so what kind of vitamins do you give them? Are they the gummy ones?
The gummy, they're like the
That's what I was gonna
Costco
ask, like
ones that are like a bear.
Okay, yeah, the kids like those. Okay, we have to link those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Costco.
because they don't taste like vitamins.
No, I tried them. They're good.
And do they work? You think they work?
I mean,
I don't know. They work.
he eats like shit, so I know it's like he's
feel
getting
better,
extra
get
something.
And I'm not really consistent with mine, so
Oh,
I mean,
he asks
when
for
you
them.
remember.
every day.
He asks
He
for
acts
them.
every day?
He's like, with his breakfast, when he's done, he's like, can I have my vitamins now? Like, it's candy to him.
And you're
so
like,
he
thank
loves
you for
it. Yeah.
reminding mommy
I'm like,
because
go ahead,
I
go
kind
get
of
it.
forgot.
They also have those is it vitamin C or whatever, those little orange
Yeah.
pills?
Yeah, we have those.
From Costco too. And
seen
Max
those.
I
asks
got mine
me
from
about
Rite
those
Aid
all
or
the
something.
time. Oh, really? He likes those. Okay, so hold on. So you give him juice every morning.
Especially during the winter. Like, when I
So
know
do
the
you
kids
give
are
him
sick.
like a cup with his cereal?
Yeah, he's
So, like, on
the
the
type
side?
that eats cereal dry. Like, he does not like cereal and milk. He's a little, yeah.
Does it get soggy or what?
I've even gotten him like the Cocoa Puffs where like it makes the cereal or the milk into chocolate milk, and he's still like, he's tried it once and he's like, oh, I like it, but the next time he's like, I don't want it in the milk. I even have the cool bowls that have the straws attached to the bowl.
There's a lot of people that don't
Yeah, he
eat their
doesn't. He
cereal
doesn't
and
like
milk.
it in milk.
Oh, funny. I try to get my kids to wash their hands, but they go to school, so I'm not with them
control.
Yeah.
reminding them in the restroom to, wash their hands. So hopefully they do. But, and then I'm always telling them, don't put your hands in your mouth. Especially when they're little. Well, and even my older one, he's always like this, playing with his mouth. I don't know. I think it's because their mouths are dry or like they have the chapped
or
lips.
something.
So they're always touching and, their mouth. And I'm like, dude, first of all, you're going to get cold sores and you're going to get a cold, So I'm always trying to keep them with that. And then I try to cook healthier so that it'll kind of build up their immune system. But
What about the
I didn't
baby?
know that
Because
does that.
you said you try to keep their hands at their mouth, but I know your little one. Does she do her hands? Because naturally, little ones always put hands in their mouth or things in their mouth.
you know what? She's not big on putting
not?
a lot
Oh,
of
good.
because some of my boys they would put every toy in their mouth and just slobber all over it. And I know some of my nieces and I don't want to say nephews because I only have. Yeah, no, some of my nieces because they're all around the same age. Some of them put their toys in their mouth still. But she doesn't really, I don't know,
good.
because I'll grab something and I pretend to eat it. I'm like, but I'm like so far from it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what she copies.
Like she pretends
Yeah.
to eat it.
But I'm sure she puts her hands in her mouth at some point. Everybody does. What about you guys?
For us, it's the same. We do like vitamin C. We do elderberry.
Okay,
if
what
I-
is that? Because everybody's been talking about this elderberry.
I just recently started it because like recently we had like everybody in here was a mess and I was going crazy, and so my pediatrician told me to introduce that, and they were like, oh, it's like vitamin C, but it's just a healthier version of it, I guess. I don't know technically how to sum it up, but it's supposed to be good and it's supposed to help, but it's supposed to work hand in hand with the vitamin C. So, if you do the elderberry by itself, I'm not sure if it works as good, but they said to take it both with vitamin C and that, and it'll be more effective. So we just recently started on that, and
Like
then
gummies or
they're
pills?
gummies. They look like a little grape gummy, and I think all of the ones that I've seen are like they look like grape.
Where do you get them?
I got ours from Rite Aid because I was going to pick up a prescription because
Elderberry,
someone was sick and they were there, and I was like, oh, this is what the pediatrician told me to pick up, especially since my youngest one is in she goes to like a child care center for just a few days out the week so I can get stuff done, and she has been sick like 24/7 since she's been there, and he said definitely since she's going to a center like that to get elderberry.
So do you take them too? Do you guys take the same your vitamins and?
I do take a vitamin. I take I'm serious about my vitamin regimen only because I have all these issues. So I take like custom. I think I've showed my vitamins are like come with
And
my name on them.
And they have your name and a little message. I saw that.
So you even comment on it.
It's
You were
like,
of
Rooney,
course
have a nice day today.
She was like, you were like, of course you would have vitamins with your name on it.
Probably.
See,
I
you
don't
just
know.
say
But
stuff.
how is it customized for you?
Because you go, so I'll link it for our listeners too. So you go there, you first you talk
Online.
with your doctor, and if you're lacking iron or whatever you're lacking, you go online and then you put in different things, like kind of like a survey of what you're lacking and then what your day is like, and then they get you all these vitamins that you need to take daily, and they send them to
Like a
you.
little cocktail. Wait, are they all in one pill?
Yeah, they're one
No.
package. So I get a little package and it says your name on it, and it says something like to make you feel good, and then all your vitamins are in there.
So
Yeah,
there's
all
a
your
vitamin
vitamins in
C
there.
one.
Yes, yep,
There's like
yeah.
an oil,
Yep.
fish oil.
Turmeric,
There's
like according to me and like
I've heard of
my
those
ailments,
issues.
it helps me with that. So
Do you think those help? Have you tried like one a day or whatever? And in comparison, do you feel like there's a difference?
I've tried a multivitamin that was just like from Trader Joe's before. And I will say from that vitamin to the ones that I'm taking like on a
customized
regular
ones?
basis, because I slip up sometimes and I don't take them every day like I should. But when I get in rotation of like taking them as they're supposed to be, I totally feel a difference.
Really?
For sure. But yeah, so that's what we kind of do. And if I feel one of the kids like getting sick or myself or something, I'm like, oh, emergency time. Passing out the packets left and right.
Those emergency things?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those have saved
They
my
actually
life.
take them? They drink? Wait, so
They
what is
have
it? It's a
kid
drink?
ones.
They have chewables for kids.
Oh.
You don't just have to drink it anymore, but we do have the ones that you drink. But they have, I see
have
now they
kids
have
ones.
chewables.
Okay, but does it work?
I think so.
I think
Does it
so.
work? You think so?
If you, let me
I've
just
never
say
tried
that.
it.
If you catch it in time, it works. If you're already like throat sore, you know it's going to be bad.
What about like airborne?
Yes, I was going to say. My
It's
dad used to
almost
take
like that.
airborne.
It's almost like that.
He said that it would like cut his colds in half or prevent. Like he used to take the train to work, so he would take the airborne to prevent from getting sick.
Yeah, I pack those in my husband's luggage all the time. And then when he brings the luggage back, they're all still there, but I still put them in there with hopes that one day he'll take them.
it. That's like sunblock. I always try to get my husband to wear sunblock because he always gets burned every year.
And he doesn't
It's
use it.
dark.
He gets
darker.
one good burn every summer, and
Really?
then
I'm
after that, it'll
surprised
get
'cause
like
his skin
brown.
is darker,
Yeah.
so I
No.
never have to wear that.
Then he never listens. He doesn't care.
Okay, so next question. We don't want to make people mad with this one, but do you give your kids the flu shot? Marianne.
No, I haven't.
Ever?
And even when I was pregnant and they tell you
Yeah.
do you want the flu shot or you should get the flu shot? Like at my hospital, they're very like gung ho about flu shot. Like they'll send me emails, they'll call me and leave messages saying like it's time for your flu shot, like or it's time for Landon's flu shot. I've never given them the flu shot.
And you've never taken it when you were pregnant?
No.
And so you and your husband, you don't take it either?
My husband, he said he took it like once, and I want to say it was for work, like at the very beginning, like it was mandatory, I think, but then he's never taken it since. And when he's against it, I don't know like exactly why. He just believes that it's like fake or that it's to make you sick or whatever. And then I remember seeing something a long time ago about like, an professional NBA cheerleader, and she got like the flu. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might not even be the flu shot, but she got like a shot, and she was like perfectly fine and pretty, and it like jacked her up somehow. Like she had to do everything backwards, and she had like a limp, and she couldn't talk straight.
Wow.
Unless, like, if she was trying to do normal things, like, she couldn't function properly. She had to walk backwards in order for her mind to... Yeah, it was so weird. Wow. I swear you can look it up. But I'm pretty sure it was from the flu shot. So I, like, got freaked out even more. So I never... And, I mean, they've been fine since, so...
Yeah.
And when they catch the flu, is it, like, super extreme? Do you feel like they catch it worse than other kids that have gotten the flu shot? Or do you feel like it doesn't
Like,
really...
I've never had to really take them in to the emergency room.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to knock on wood somewhere. But, yeah, I've never...
So, when my husband was a paramedic, I don't know if he had talked to some doctors, but for some reason at that time he was like, he was against giving the kids the flu shot. But we have done it in the past, like here and there, but not consistent. And we never really saw a difference. Like they still got sick, they still had the flu, and it wasn't super crazy like
yeah.
But how do you know if it would have been anyway?
Right. So then when we stopped, it still wasn't crazy bad, and there was still no difference. So we're like, hey, okay, we're just not going to give it to them. And yeah, so, and then I don't take it. I don't know, I kind of feel bad being like, hey, you got to take this flu shot, but Mama ain't going to take it. I hate needles. I'm not going to take a flu shot. What about you guys?
Right, here you go. No, we don't get the flu shot, but our reason for not getting the flu shot is because we found out that it has egg products inside of the flu shot. And unfortunately, I have a family full of allergies, thanks to my husband. And everybody, except for me, is allergic to eggs. So that shoot that away. And then me,
Have you ever given it to them?
Never. Nope. Well, I knew because of my husband's allergies, I knew early on that like I knew to get them checked for allergies.
Oh, okay.
So I avoided like all the.
But how did you find out the flu shot had eggs? Like why
Once
would you
again,
be...
I know. Well, I found out because when my husband was little, that's why he couldn't get it because they told him. And then as like once I had my own kids and I brought it up to my doctor and they were like, oh yeah, it does. Like they're like it has something the same. Not like maybe like it's not eggs, but same thing.
Similar, yeah.
So that's how I knew to avoid it. But yeah.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yep. So we skipped that. So what are your go-to remedies and the system when your kids are sick?
When they're sick, depending on how bad they are, like I'll give them a ton of fluid. Like if they're vomiting and diarrhea, like I do the Pedialyte and a ton of water, just like to flush them out and to make sure they're hydrated. I always do a humidifier if they're...
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Now, are you the warm mist or the cool mist?
I think you guys gave it to us for my baby shower.
Is it the warm or
it's the cool one.
Oh, it was on your registry.
It was on. It's like the little elephant one. And
yeah.
We still have it, so we use that. What else? Oh, and then I just alternate between like Motrin and Tylenol.
If they have fevers.
If they have a temperature.
Oh,
because I
just
to not.
heard about that.
Yeah.
So you can technically do it every 3 hours. Did you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until probably like a year or two ago. And then I started doing it and they got, like Landon would get better like faster. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm doing this all the time.
Wait for the fever spike back up and then
I just was always afraid that it was like overdosing. So but they said you can. And then I asked his doctor, and he was like, yeah, you can do it.
As long as it's different, right? As
Yeah.
long as it's Tylenol and like
And, like,
Motrin or
ibuprofen,
ibuprofen. Yeah.
Motrin.
In some places, like hospitals or something, they actually do, it's called a cocktail, and they give it to them together at that same time.
really?
But that's when
Yeah.
they're really high, right? That's like if
that's
they're
to
like
break
104.
it.
Yeah, to break
they'll
it.
do a cocktail, and it's like the Motrin and the Tylenol together in that same dose to bring it
Oh, I
down.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, my kids have had to have that.
Yeah, my sister just told me that they did that to her daughter.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so for colds, we use the Highlands cold and cough and colds.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for night and day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you
I
like
don't,
it?
I don't know.
It's a natural one,
It's
right?
a natural one.
You use that for
Homeopathic.
all your kids?
I don't think it's strong enough, but I mean, I
You
still
feel
use
better
it
giving
because
it
I'm
to-
like, hey, at least I tried.
At the end of the day, I can say I tried.
I know. And then I always try to like prop them up. So I'll take like a big
Oh, yeah.
pillow and
The
just
weight.
keep
Yeah.
them like propped up so that their fluids don't, so it
Get
all just kind of
congested,
flows
yeah.
down. Yeah, poor guys. I hate when they're sick. And then when they have a flu, I'll have a puke bucket. Do you guys have like a designated puke bucket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No?
I don't.
Yeah, to catch it just in case, like on their way to the bathroom to vomit. Like we used to sleep with a big bowl by our head, like literally just right by our head, to make sure that we caught the puke before, like while we were running to the restroom. So that's what I have. Every kid, we give them the puke
Or
bucket.
is their name on it?
No, it's the same damn bucket.
Mine, I feel like, is an alcohol one. It has like a Patron label on the front.
Oh, it's
What? Yeah, that's a little hole.
one
to
of the
throw
tin
in.
ones. One of
It's
the
like,
tin ones.
You know, like when you go to the bar. Oh my gosh, I don't even know why I like remember
Oh,
this.
and they give
They,
you.
you know, when you can get like a whole bucket of
Yes.
like drinks.
Oh, that one. I thought you meant like an actual Patron. I'm like,
No.
man, you want
No.
those little kids to
And
throw
it
up
has
in
like
that
a
little
handle,
hole.
and it's like in plastic. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't care to use this for anything.
that's a good one. You scare me for a minute.
And then we feed them toast. We'll try to make them like, I don't know
Like
why, if
bland
it's like
foods?
so bland foods, so like toast, pretzels. I Googled that pretzels is good
But
too.
do you think that we follow what we did when we
Yeah,
were
because
kids?
my mom always
Yeah.
gave us 7-Up and toast. So
Oh, my mom
kids
too.
don't
Girl.
like 7-Up. So I give them Gatorade or water, like if they can drink.
What was the 7-Up for? Like for
Your
your
It was
stomach, I
supposed to
think.
settle
It was
your
settle
stomach,
your
but
stomach
I don't
with
know how
saltine
because
crackers.
it's bubbly.
Yeah.
How is it
And
going to
the
settle your
sugar,
stomach?
with the sugar in it, you would think that it would
Hey, it
mess up your
worked.
stomach. I know you
But
can't. knock
but
it.
also when they have a cold, I use the warm mist humidifier. So I've
Really?
tried the cold one, and I just feel like
I didn't
it
know.
didn't do anything for my
Really?
kids,
Yeah,
me neither.
especially during the winter time too, when
Yeah.
it's already cold in their room, And then they have the heater, and then you have this damn cool mist thing, and I'm just, I feel like it's. I don't know. I feel like the warm mist kind of breaks everything up. I put the little
I've
Vicks
never
on
feel
tried.
it in
them.
the
Oh,
room.
I do
You could
Vicks
feel the
too.
warm.
Yeah, you could feel they could breathe easier, and I put the Vicks on their chest and on their feet. Oh, that nose Frida. Okay, I remember seeing people with that nose Frida
And it
thing.
was
I'm
like
saying
the
that
boogers.
that
It
was
wasn't.
disgusting.
I never. It was amazing.
But it's my 2-year-old. She still doesn't really know how to blow her nose, so
Yeah.
I'm over there following
that
her
nose
around, like,
thing.
let me suck your
That
nose.
thing is amazing. That thing is amazing.
And my husband's like, he refuses to do it. He's like, that's
It's
disgusting.
gross.
But you need to
do
do
not.
this.
They
Yeah.
think the boogers go inside of the thing.
It looks gross. Oh, and a lightweight sheet. Like I always get strip them down to either their diaper or their underwear, and then like just lay a sheet over. Because you're cold
Yeah.
usually when you have a fever,
But then
but
you
they
get
want
hot.
the
Yeah.
they want the
Something to cover
something
them.
on them, and they usually have a fever, so I'll put the little sheet over them and stuff. But when they were babies, we learned this special swaddle because like when they're babies, you don't want to have them
them.
overheat, So there's some kind of swaddle technique that's called the bat wing, and you like I'll link it, but you like wrap their arms. It's kind of like a straight jacket for their arms, and then you crisscross, but you leave their chest naked, so it's like they're cool, but they have their little swaddle and
I
stuff.
feel like
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it was really, really, really helpful. Yeah, and like Vicks. But what do you? I mean, is it different when your kids are a little bit like older? Like how you treat them?
yeah, like your
Are you-
teenager.
Are you like you're on your
Pay
own?
for
Go to your room.
yourself.
But my parents used to, like, the older that we got, we were quarantined to our room.
Yep.
Like, hey, you're sick. You
Don't
gotta
come
cough,
down here.
Go to your
Get
room.
outta here.
Yeah. So
No, it's pretty much the same for a teenager. You say go to your room and then don't use no electronics, no phone, no nothing because you're sick. So since you're sick, that means you can't look at your phone. No.
What?
I used to feel like
Your
there was
eyes
a
are not
punishment.
working. Your eyes aren't working, so you
Because
can't
I'm
look at your phone.
You're home from school. Like, you're gonna stay home from school. Like, if I feel like, and that could be
Oh, like
because
it's a
of when I was
vacation.
little, that
Yeah.
old school, like, mom and me. Cause,
Yeah.
like, if you're sick, you're too sick to text. You're too sick to do any of
Too
that.
sick to
That's
play.
right? Yeah.
Go to sleep, rest.
No, but no, I think I kind of baby everybody when they're sick because, like, since we're a family with so many allergies and asthma and everything else, when they get sick, like, they get sick. Like, it turns into respiratory problems. Then now we need a breathing treatment. Then now, like, everyone has spiked a fever. So some of the things I've learned that worked for me that I was all like, this is BS. This does not work. So for fever, because we switched over and I started to try to do things a little more naturally. For fever, we do a potato necklace.
What?
A raw potato. I'll have to link.
A raw potato.
I'll have to link like an article or a picture. So
Okay.
I read that studies show that if you get a potato, you cut it up, you soak it, you cut it, and you like thread it. You can make a necklace for like babies. You put the necklace on them, and the fever somehow goes into the potatoes, and like you will see the potatoes turn black. Like instantly. Yeah, and
It's like the cabbage with the breastfeeding.
Something. Yes, and it takes out the fever. Like literally, I thought like, come on, this does not work until I tried it. And I was like, shut up. Like, I could not believe how
Within,
But
like,
they
what,
felt
30
better?
minutes?
they felt
Within
better.
an
They felt better.
hour?
And this is after, like, after I had tried, like, I think I tried Tylenol or Motrin and it wasn't going down. And then I don't think at the time I knew that you can alternate. So I was just waiting, and then the fever would spike and the fever would spike. So I ended up looking it up or something. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I'm going to try whatever. So I did it, and literally within, I would say maybe, like, not even joking, maybe 15 minutes, you can already, the potato was already turning black, and it was with Harley, and she was already coming back to life. You know, because when they have a fever, they're like all over you, and then once the medicine starts working, they come to life a little bit, but then they go back, you know, after the fever.
Yeah.
So she came to life, and I was like, oh my God, like I just totally found something new. So whenever somebody has a fever, I'm like, get the potatoes, let's make the necklace.
Like,
So
you
how
chop them
big
in
are the
squares?
chunks?
Yeah, you do them like in a good size. Like if you're gonna make like you know, like if you make
Papas
like
and chorizo.
yeah, or like papas and chorizo.
Papas and chorizo and little cubes.
Or like if you're gonna make like what is that, potato skillet? Like, you know, those little chunks kind of.
Okay.
But you want to make them a good size, like
Like
maybe
sugar
a little
cubes?
quarter. Yeah, no, a little bigger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna like link a picture because I think it has a picture with it. But
Interesting.
but yeah, so that's one of the things that I've found to work. And then we do like the warm humidifier. We do like I have like a vapor bath. It's like, I don't even know who it's by. I think it's like a Kirkland's brand or something. And it's like the bubble bath, but it has the vapors in it. So I'll give them like a lukewarm bath. Oh, I love it. And you put it in their bubble bath, and it has like the vapor. So we'll do that.
You have to link that too.
Yeah, the humidifier. And what else do we do? Yeah, and just rest in water. And
Sometimes I'll
And
put
lots
the
of
cool
fluid.
cloth on their forehead to try to absorb
do they fuss? Because my kids fuss when we do
when
that.
they're young. But
Okay.
like my 7-year-old, he just allowed me to do it. So
Did
I was
he?
like,
They
okay,
have,
good.
They
like,
have
these
I got
cool,
those, yeah,
like,
with Mickey Mouse on it. That's the only way I can
patch-looking-
keep
it's like
them on
a
the kids.
sticker,
Really?
but it like keeps it cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay, so then do you send them to school when they're sick?
Me, let me see. I want to say I used to, but just this year I stopped sending him. Just because,
Mary,
like,
you were that mom.
I
See,
know,
was
I know.
I talked about you guys.
so like last year I used to, and now this year I'm like, oh my gosh, because now that like we have Levi, like every time Landon is sick, Levi gets it, and just not even as bad. He gets it twice as bad. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So probably this last time that Landon was sick, he got an ear infection, and then Levi got it, and then they both got the double ear infections, and It was bad. And I remember like the second day or the day that he started feeling better, I was like, should I just send him now that he feels better? And my husband's like, no, don't send him. It has to be 24 hours without the medicine. And I'm like, oh my God. He's like, I know it sucks. Just keep him up.
And then it's hard because sometimes they're acting fine at home and you're like, your little butt could have gone to school today, you know?
Oh, that's the famous thing.
But see, like Landon loves school. So he's like, and that week, he happened to be like snack leader. And like when they're snack leader, they get to be at the front of the line all day. And they get to, you know, so he was determined. And he's like, I want to go. No, I feel good. I want to go. And I'm like, okay. So he was snack leader Friday. So like Thursday came around. I'm like, all right, it's been like 24 hours. So let's just send him, right? And he gets one day before snack leader day. And they freaking called me. And I was like, what the hell? He was fine when I dropped him off. Yeah. He doesn't have a temperature. And they're like, yeah, he was fine at like recess. And then when it came to lunchtime, he just didn't want to eat. And he's sitting down and saying he's tired. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I was all embarrassed to like send him back the next day for snack.
You're staying home.
So wait, when you picked him up, was he fine?
He just was super tired. But then, like, me and my husband talked about it, and we're like, dude, they made him, like, you know, when you're sick and then your first day back to work or whatever, you feel like you're just not yourself or whatever. And for him, like, he was excited to go back to school. He'd been out all week. And because he was gone all week, they had him catching up on all, like, the days he missed, like, their little projects. So he's overstimulated. Yeah, and so I think that's too why he was super lethargic.
And is he in kindergarten or this is preschool?
He's preschool.
Oh my God, they had him catching up on all this stuff?
So
no, some of those teachers too, like they one little thing, like if they're like go like this to their ear, then they're like, oh, we're calling your mom. They have an ear infection because they were pulling on the ear, and it's like, well, I just picked this little up, and they were running circles around my house. So guess what? I'm bringing them back.
Our school is, like, really strict on absences because it's a school of choice. They're like, if they're absent all these times, like, you have to go to Saturday school. Like, my kids had to go to Saturday school, and there's 7 and freaking 11. Yeah, because just to make up for the absences.
Saturday school? That's the worst. I thought they cut that out.
But elementary school, they're in elementary school. I would never
that was
think
in
that
high
they
school.
would. Yeah, that was in high school that we had to make up for it. So I try to make them go unless they're vomiting or they have a really high fever or they look just like out of it, like little zombies, you know? But even with a cough, like I'll just pump them up with some of that Highlands medication.
You're like,
and then I tell them, look, just go. And then if you feel sick, go to the office and I'll pick you up. Like we live right down the street. Just go. And so sometimes they'll call me and I'm like, okay. And I go pick them up. But there was one time. So my middle one, Max. Oh my gosh, he's a ball of nerves. Like he's that kid that threw up on the first day of kindergarten because he was just nervous. Like that's what he does. He vomits when he's nervous. So we never know if he's telling the truth. If he's telling the truth that he doesn't feel good or if he's just nervous. You know, so we're like, okay, you have to go to school. And he's like, I'm just afraid that I'm going to vomit at school. I'm like, Bob, you've been fine all day long. Just go to school. And then I get a call that the poor kid's vomited in front of the assembly. Poor God. Yes.
Oh my God, Janelle.
I felt so bad. And they were like, Jack, isn't that your brother?
But is it because he was sick or because he was nervous?
He was sick, yeah. But I just don't know. Like sometimes I feel like I have to call his bluff and then
that's hard. He calls yours.
Then he vomits. But
at the assembly.
Poor kid, yeah.
Jack Jordan's like,
nope, that's
not my brother.
I know.
My cousin's nephew.
But yeah, he'll vomit even when he's nervous. So we're always trying to push him outside of his comfort zone because we're like, dude, you got to get over this. But then you don't know if he's like,
no, Mom, I said my stomach was upset, and it's not that nervous
like, I told you.
Or my kids are afraid to like have diarrhea at school, you know? And I'm like, okay,
who's not?
But I'm like,
afraid to have diarrhea at Target.
So, okay, if it's uncontrollable diarrhea, I get it. You can stay home. But if you're on day 3 and you still have a little bit of squirts, it's like, go to the restroom.
No.
Go to the restroom. And he's like, no. Because they can control it at home, but you can't control it at school. No, you just
yeah.
agree.
Okay, you gotta
just
get
agree.
another.
You
Yeah,
still gotta ask for permission
and then
to go
she's
to the
gonna get
bathroom.
another call like, Janelle, your son
Shit
pooped during the assembly. And then now poor Jack is just fucked. Like, just listen to the kid, Janelle.
Sorry. Funny, one time my son went and I don't know if he was coughing or he like something. Oh, his throat. She said, oh, his throat hurts. And I'm like, okay.
How do you know?
So what?
Does he want to come home? And she said, oh, no, I sent him back to class. And I'm like,
So why
the
calling
hell are you
me?
calling?
Oh yeah, that's the worst when they do that.
Why are you
That
wasting
is
my
the
time?
worst.
And then she's like, oh, because I heard he has to walk home.
Okay.
Are his
His mouth
closed? Are his legs broken?
Tell him not to open his mouth on the walk.
home with his throat.
I just feel like if he was really that bad, he would have wanted to come home, and since he went back to class, he was fine.
Wow.
He'll survive.
Okay, ladies. So that brings me to the next question. How do you try to keep the cold from spreading to siblings? And you guys, I guess.
I'll go first. Again, like he always has to wash his hands. And I mean, when Levi was first born, I like definitely tried to keep them apart, but it's hard because, Landon like loves his little brother. And he's the type that like throws his whole body on him, like face snotty and all, will kiss him. And I'm like, do not touch him.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but now that Levi's older, I mean, I can't really. I mean, they just have to keep washing their hands,
Yeah.
and
It's kind of like you just accept that
Yeah.
if one's sick, the other one's
The
sick.
other
and I
one's
just
on its
tell
way.
myself like, okay, it's making Levi's immunity stronger. But I was always paranoid about it because, here I go. When I was little, so I had a younger sister that was like 5 years younger than I was, and she was born with cerebral palsy. So her like immune system was already like not the greatest. And I always helped take care of her. Like my mom would let me like feed her and yada yada yada. So we were like, to me, I thought like she's my little best friend, like my little doll kind of thing. And I remember like I will never forget this because it's almost like traumatizing. I remember like I was about to walk out the kitchen door. And she was at the kitchen table in her little high chair. And she can't talk or anything. She's, like, fully disabled. But, like, she's happy and whatever. And I was about to walk out the door. And I was like, I'm leaving. And I remember, like, looking at her. And I was sick. I knew I was sick. And, like, I remember my mom telling me, like, don't, like, touch your sister. Don't, like, do anything with her. Like, just stay away from her. And she was at the table by herself. And I remember, like, thinking to myself, I just want to kiss her, though. And I remember, like, leaving the front door to go to her. And I kissed her. And I knew in my head I wasn't supposed to. But a part of me was still like, just because I love her so much. Or, two, I was probably like, oh, she can get sick with me. And we are BFFs kind of thing. And then I left. And the next day, she got sick. And my mom, when she was sick, like, my mom had to help her, like, a lot because she was basically a baby still, but in, like, a 5-year-old's body.
Okay.
So she couldn't do anything for herself. And she ended up getting pneumonia and passing away.
Shut up.
And I
was
always
that time.
told myself, like, it's because I kissed her. And I remember when we took her to the hospital that day, like, when she passed, and my mom was hysterical. Like, they had to have her in a wheelchair. And I was so scared to tell her. And I was just like, I kissed her, and that's why she got sick. And, like,
her?
I told her, and, like, she was already, like, medicated and, like, hysterical. So it kind of just, like, went in one ear and out the other. But I, like, was always traumatized by that because I always told myself, like, oh, my God, like, I did it. Yeah, so when I had the boys, and because Levi was a baby and his immune system was not the greatest, I was so paranoid about, like, Landon being sick around him that I literally would stay in the room with Levi and just, like, almost shut Landon out. And I then would get mom guilt about, like, being evil and not letting him come.
But that was something that you were,
so
like, dealing with and not necessarily
so I was
trauma.
like, trying to keep them apart was like one of the big things for me when he was little. But now that Levi's older and he's like gotten sick a few times, it's like there's nothing I can do. But that's like something I always think about when people say like, how do you keep the siblings apart or if one's sick? And I'm like,
Yeah.
But that's so crazy.
Oh my
Marianne,
gosh,
I
that
know.
I know. Sorry.
Stung me in the heart.
No.
It
Yeah.
wasn't your
No, at
fault.
all, Marianne.
I know.
Don't
You were
think.
just a kid.
Yeah, it
I
was not your
know.
fault at all. Whether
But
you kissed her
okay,
or not.
but imagine if you didn't kiss her and she would have gotten sick anyway, and you would have
and
been
then
like,
how-
I never got to kiss her for the last
I know,
time.
but
So let's think about it
Like,
that way.
she, see, this
'Cause
is like
she
me
could
still
have-
blaming myself. Like,
Because
how
she could
would
have
she?
still caught it from
regardless, yeah.
Like-
from something else. you
Yeah,
know?
like my germs in the house.
Yeah.
So then I think I still would have like blamed myself. But I
Oh.
think because I knew at that moment I was contemplating. So I think like I was like, I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what got me the most because I knew I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if she got sick and I didn't kiss her and it was just from my germs in the house, like I think a part of me would have been like, I think it's because I was sick. But
Yeah. You still
No, but I
felt
think that
responsible.
things happen for a reason, and it was out of your control. And whether you were sick or not, it probably would have happened anyway. So you can't
Yeah.
beat yourself up about it.
I know.
Oh my God. How do we even come
Well, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
cry
Be
in the
sure
corner?
to click the link below.
Oh my God. I know. So I use hand sanitizer.
I need to take a drink on that one, man.
On a different note, no, okay, so my husband will keep this big, ugly thing of hand sanitizer right in the kitchen.
Green?
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, it looks so bad. Can we just like put it in the bathroom or somewhere? And he's like, no, it has to be right here where we can see it
Where the
and
traffic
remind
flow.
ourselves to pump it and whatnot. And so he does, but that's how he keeps from catching
Yeah.
it. So whenever if somebody's sick, we're always just like pumping it, and mixing our hands with it. And then like, we try to quarantine the older siblings. But you can't quarantine a baby or a toddler.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
impossible,
Yeah.
And even like Max, he's 7, but he still gets super sad when he's quarantined. So I feel like quarantine's kind of like a punishment unless you're older. When you're older, you don't care. You're like,
Yeah.
let me just rest.
But you have to like
But when you're
explain
little,
it to
you're
them,
like,
I
yeah.
think.
When you're little, you don't want to be,
Yeah,
alone.
separated.
I guess, and also
But you get
depends
to
on their
watch unlimited
personalities
TV
too.
and, like-
Yeah. But when I was little, my dad would make it like if it was a punishment, like you're sick, get out of here, don't touch me.
Don't say hi to
Don't
me.
touch anybody. Don't talk to anybody.
touch the
Go to your
doorknobs.
room, don't come out for another couple of days. Like he was. I felt like I was
Would
punished.
they forget to check on you?
But there was 5 of us, so I'm like, okay, I'll go to the
Bye-bye.
room. Bye. Can I play with my toys all by myself?
I'm sick
Nobody's.
again.
But like you, I try to keep them from touching or kissing goodnight and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But they're gonna do it, and their mocos are everywhere, and they just slide all over their face
over.
and hands and.
Yeah.
But so we don't usually co-sleep, but unless they're like young with a fever, and then I can constantly fill them. So like that's when I'll co-sleep with them, and then my husband
that's
will
when
like
they
sleep
want
on the
to, though.
floor
They
or
wanna be
something.
under
Like
Yeah.
Max, you still do.
Max, not so much, but like Ray, she's 2, and especially when she's a baby, like when any of the babies have a fever, they always sleep
Yeah.
with me, and then. But my husband's so weird about sleeping in the same bed with the baby, like and rolling over and squishing him and stuff. So he's
out of there?
like, we have a freaking king bed, and he's like,
out of
nope,
there.
I don't want to squish him.
Does
so
he
he's
move
out of there.
a lot when he sleeps?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because that's like a huge thing about co-sleeping. Like that's why they tell you not to.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
do you do anything different?
For us, no, they're pretty much the same thing. Like we try to keep everyone away. We load up on the vitamins. As soon as I see that the kids are sick, then I'll try to do some emergency or something, try to get myself together. But for the most part, I usually end up getting sick. I think every episode we've recorded, I've been sick. If you've heard the coughs in the background, but everybody like usually gets sick no matter what. And like I try to like Lysol and like all kinds of stuff. And
Do you give them vitamins on a daily basis, or only when you think they're gonna catch a cold?
I try to when I remember, I try to give them on a regular basis.
Even the baby.
And even the gummies. And two, because of all their allergies and stuff and all of the foods that they can't eat, I like to give them vitamins anyway. So yeah, I'll try to do it, but that's for the most part. And then usually same thing, like if they're sick, not the big ones, but Maybe Peyton too will try to come in there and sleep with us because they're very like, oh, what, mom,
I
like
want
clingy.
cuddles. Yeah.
But my husband is he'll sleep on the couch. Like if anybody's sick, if I'm sick and the kids are in there, he's out of there. Same as Jack, but not because he's scared to roll over, just because he's scared to get sick.
To catch it. Oh yeah.
Scared to
I
catch
hate
it.
that. I hate
Scared,
that
like
when they're
over
like,
the
I don't
top.
want to catch it.
And then
I'm like,
sleeping on the couch.
You're like,
Must
great,
be
so
nice.
I can catch it.
Yeah, must be nice.
Seriously. Do you let other kids visit when they're sick?
Yeah. So I prefer that you don't visit when you're sick. But if we're going to be like outdoors, like at a birthday party or something like that, and they're not like in, close vicinity, I don't really care. But you're like, no.
Remind me.
Shaking her head.
Okay, every time we're about to go to Janelle's house, I'm like, hey,
Are you
Janelle.
sick?
But honestly, like, I appreciate it because if my kids are sick and we have to go to a party, I always call and I'm like, hey, my kids are sick with this, this, and that. Sometimes the parents will be like, oh, yeah, mine are too. And then we just
let them be sick together.
For Levi's birthday.
Or yeah. Or sometimes they're like, oh, we just got over this. Or, oh, we're dodging it or whatever. But I just always want to let them know in advance and let them be the decider. Because some parents don't care. And they're like, just please come because we don't have that many guests anyway. Or, like, whatever. So,
I'm not that parent.
but me
Don't bring them over
personally,
here
like,
sick.
I'd appreciate if you let me know so that I could be like,
Prepared.
yeah, no, please don't come. Please don't come.
But I'll bring my kids.
If you're cool with it, but I'm not cool with it. What about you?
Normally I don't, but that one time was an exception for us. So Levi just had his birthday.
Oh, I know. I was wondering if this story was going to come up because earlier she said she wasn't going and then she was there.
Yeah.
So for Levi's birthday, normally I don't have like other people visit if they're sick, or I don't like take the kids out if they're sick. But Levi's birthday was already planned and everything, and that week
He was sick too.
He was sick.
I thought only your kid was sick.
Vomit? He vomited all over.
I thought we were talking about because your kid was sick, and that's
Yeah.
why you brought him. And you kept him, and my sick ass kids who get sick at the drop of a
I thought
dime
your
were there.
kids were sick too. I thought we were just having
A
a
whole
sick
bunch of sick
party.
So, yeah, Janelle's like, hey, we're not coming because so-and-so is sick. And me and Adam are like, it's okay. Ours just are kind of sick. Not really, but go ahead.
Okay, first
That's
of
why
all,
my
mind
kids
you,
got
her
sick
kids
2 days
were
later.
they did
Oh.
not.
Her kids were sick with different stuff. Okay, mine had a
that's
cold.
worse, 'cause that's
and
a whole
hers
bunch
was
of
vomiting. Hers was vomiting. And now that means all their weak immune systems are going to catch extra stuff.
And then they let my healthy kids come, and they were sick 2 days later. Oh, you moms.
Now you know. Just ask, are your kids sick?
But normally I don't. But that was like paid for and everything. So we're like,
it was a birthday
I mean, while
party.
we're here, are you bitches sick?
No.
yeah.
So
No,
you
I'm
need
just
to tell
kidding.
me.
I just
No.
always have like
Hey,
a nasal.
we're
I
having
just always have like
we're
a
drinking
nasal
orange
leak.
juice.
You looked real suspicious when I asked, were you
If
sick?
I'm sick?
Yeah.
No, but my boobs are sore. I think I'm gonna start my period.
Baby.
No. I always get tender breasts when I'm gonna start my period.
Or pregnant.
No.
Okay, so,
Valentine's Day just happened.
oh, yeah. What's usually your indicator to go to the emergency room or urgent care? You said you've never been, though, right?
I've never, but like they've
What?
I was always told if they have 104 or above, like take them, and the boys have never.
Oh, that's
They've
good.
gotten to like 103, but I got like I
You-
throw them in the shower
they
or
were.
whatever.
It's hard because I feel like those things aren't really accurate. Like sometimes it'll be like 105 and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I got go over and it's like 102 and I'm like, how in 1
Stop
second?
playing with my emotions.
So I never know if it's accurate. So even if it's at 104, I just put him in the bath, calm down, and try
You
to like
calm-
bring.
You try to do it
I
yourself,
try to
yeah.
bring it down because I've been to the hospital before,
And they don't do
and they
anything.
don't do really anything different but strip them down and
Yeah.
pump
Something
them
you
up
could
with
do at home.
medicine,
Medicine, yeah.
and then we're sitting there at the hospital, So, but I'll take them to urgent care. I really don't like. I haven't done like a midnight trip to the hospital yet, but like. We have an urgent care, and if they have an ear infection, it's like the end of the world.
You never done a midnight trip with any of your kids?
No.
Oh, that's
No, wait. Okay, maybe with my first
like,
one.
oh.
He's 11. So when he had the same thing. Like every time he would get a cold, it would turn into bronchitis. He had like asthma, so he always needed the breathing treatments. We took home the nebulizer, and he'd have his little mask, and he was like 6 months old with this little face mask, and that's the worst to see them like that. But I don't know if it was like a night trip. I can't even remember. I can't even remember what I wore yesterday. I don't remember that. But yeah, like the scariest. I mean, the emergency rooms are like if they're in pain for like an ear infection or unable to eat. Like that's when I start getting nervous, or if it lasts more than like 2 days, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's when I'll take them. But I don't take them to the urgent. I'll take them to urgent care and not the emergency. Yeah.
For us, I have been to, I guess it's urgent care, not really emergency room. I think I've been to emergency room with Devin when he was little. So I was a new mom, and he had everything like allergies, asthma, like all kinds of stuff. So little different things would be happening. I would panic, and then I would take him to the hospital. So I had plenty nights there. But for the most part, urgent care is usually if it's like some type of respiratory where they need like a breathing treatment. And this was before we actually got the breathing machine. So now we have the machine, so I don't necessarily need to go for that. Mm-hmm. Or if the fever is over 104, then we'll go to get it down. But that's usually the only times we'll go. But yeah, that breathing treatment for sure. We had actually, I'm going to tell the story really quick. No, wait. I'll wait for this question. What's the scariest cold they had?
You're like, yeah.
This is it.
When Landon was, I think his first year, he had, because I was a new mom, so everything was new to me. I think it was just like he had croup cough, and it was like,
nonstop.
Yeah, and it was like the crazy barking cough. Mm-hmm. And I remember she was like, oh, it's contagious, so make sure he doesn't go anywhere near kids. And it was like Halloween. So I remember, I just think that one for him was the scariest. And then with Levi recently, he's been having like nonstop ear infections. Okay. And the pediatrician has upped his like antibiotics to like higher and higher, like stronger and stronger ones, not higher doses. But she was like, oh, this is the highest. So if it still doesn't get like cleared, we're going to have to drain it. And me and my husband were like, what do you mean drain it? She's like, we put like a little metal tube in their ear. And, you know, he's only tubes. Like one. Yeah. So we were like, oh my gosh. So we were
he must have had a lot then.
Yeah, he's been having them, but because Landon's in school, he brings home everything. So he gets like twice. He hit twice as hard than Landon does. So
this is Levi that has the
baby. Yeah.
Does he go? Does he take swimming or anything?
No.
And he doesn't go under the water when he's
no.
Eating? Oh my goodness.
That's why I'm like, dude, Landon's never had ear infections until this year. And
could just be like, the way that his little canals are shaped too, because the doctor said if it's like really deep it can get trapped in those
like
little
even
tubes.
Now, like we had to take him last week because I noticed he's like been fussy and he's pulling at one ear only. I'm like, oh damn it, he has like another infection. And the doctor's like, no, he doesn't have one, but his nose is congested a little bit. And I'm like, is it? Like I didn't know it was running. He's like, it could be the pressure. And he's like, so if he gets sick again and he's congested, it's going to have an ear infection. I'm like, so what can I do to prevent that? And they're like, nothing really. You just have to wait and see when it comes. Thanks. And I'm like, oh, great. Yeah.
I don't know which one of my boys, but one of them was a constant ear infection too. Every time they got a cold. One of them was every time he got a cold was bronchitis, and the other one was every time he got a cold was an ear infection.
Same.
So...
That's why I asked about the water thing. Did yours go underwater and stuff, or where was it from?
No, it was just the way that his colds would evolve.
Did he have to get the
tubes? No, but my husband got the tubes, so I don't know. Maybe it's hereditary or something. I don't know.
We don't. I've never had that.
So my scariest cold was one time I saw Ray. I was looking at the baby monitor, and she was like, she sat up in the middle of the night.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah. And you're looking at her,
Baby
and
monitor.
she's just like sitting there, and I'm like, she got up. Like, I don't want to go get her, you know, I'm going to let her
She's
go back
not
to
crying.
bed. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, she's just like, she starts shaking. And then I freak out because I recently heard about a baby having like a seizure and like
In the middle of the
dying
night.
because she was choking on her vomit or whatever. So I told I was like, let's go in there. So we ran in there, and she had vomit all over,
shit.
like The Exorcist, like all over her freaking crib, and it was all over herself. And she was just sitting there. You know, when I saw her sitting there, she was just vomiting on herself.
That's what she was
For a
doing.
baby, which is so weird because at that age, I don't really remember the kids like vomiting like that. Like I
Yeah.
remember a spit up here and there, but not
Was
like
it like projectile or just drooling out?
I don't even know because it was dark, but it was like
Oh my
all over.
gosh.
And so she was sick for like 4 days with vomiting and the shits. So it was
Got a
like,
stomach bug.
and this was just this last winter. And then a lot of people were like, oh yeah, that's going around and it's lasting for like 7
We had
days.
it.
Yeah.
That
Everyone
was the
in my house
longest
had it.
freaking flu I had ever seen in my life.
Everyone in the house had
it.
it.
Poor
It was
baby.
bad. It's
Yeah.
bad.
And even my Max had it, and the poor kid's sitting on the toilet with his puke bucket. Thank you very much. And he's shitting and puking
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
bad.
time.
It hit everybody. Do you remember that? When
Yeah,
you guys, we were
we all
supposed to
talked about
record,
it.
and we couldn't. Everyone had
Yeah.
it. Everyone had it. Oh, poor baby.
I know, that was scary.
That
was
sounds
freaky.
scary.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Thank God Jack was home because then I was like, okay, you take all the vomit stuff in the crib and I'll take the baby and I'll go bathe her, you know, because if he wasn't, I would have probably been crying
Struggling.
as I'm like
Oh, it would have been
getting
bad.
everything. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I don't think my husband would have even helped. He's like, you know how he gets grossed out?
Would you?
I'm like, no thanks.
You're like,
Yeah.
You're like,
when
you
my
have to
husband
add
makes those
to
noises,
it.
I'm like, then puke because we got
we got
stuff
stuff to
to
do.
do. So
We got stuff to
get
do.
it over with and go puke so we can clean this shit up. Wrap it up.
You clean up yours. You clean up yours and hers. Oh man. So mine would probably be. I feel like I had a lot with Devin when he was little because I was a new mom and I feel and it was my first child to get all of the allergies. I feel like now I'm a seasoned vet with the allergies
Yeah.
and all that. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been here before. You're turning a little blotchy. You're allergic to what you just ate. But with him, it was all new for me. So there was a lot of scary moments, but none where I thought like I wouldn't know what to do in that situation till recently. We planned we had a trip planned to Disneyland for like a long time. One of my little cousins, she has autism and she'd never been to Disneyland and she turned 30. So I set up this big family trip to go to Disneyland and everything. Everyone had shirts made and everything. Harley was like fine. Like she was getting over a cold. She had already been over it for like a few days now. And all of a sudden that morning she woke up coughing and I'm like, okay, I ain't thinking nothing of it. I'm like, oh, it's just a little cough. Give her a little cough medicine, clear out her throat. We'll go to Disneyland. So she still was coughing, but it wasn't like a cough, like a sick cold cough. It was like a different cough, like something was in her throat.
Stuck,
So
yeah.
we go to Disneyland, maybe there for about an hour, still coughing nonstop. She hadn't stopped like at all, still coughing. So now she's like starting to like wheeze and have like respiratory situations. And I'm like, okay, I'm still watching her. And I'm like, I'm going to have to go. Like, I hate to tell my family, but like I have to go. So I told them like, okay, I'm gonna have to go. They were sad, but I'm like, when duty calls, you have to go. So we go and we're driving and she's like in the back seat. And now it's getting worse. Now she's like gasping for air and I'm like super scared because I left with her just by myself. My other kids stayed with my family. So I'm like driving and I'm like trying to get there as fast as I can. It's getting worse. She's in the back like, Mom, and she's telling me like I can't breathe and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like stepping on the gas and I'm just like praying like, God, please let me get to this urgent care, please. Because I know by now I'm like, okay, it's respiratory. So knowing this from my other kids, I'm like, she needs like a breathing treatment. And this is, we didn't have the machine, or at least I didn't know where it was at the time because we hadn't had to use it for a while. So I, halfway there, like 2 exits away, she just starts like throwing up in the back
Oh my
seat.
gosh.
throwing up, and she's trying to catch her breath. Stuff's coming out her nose. I'm driving and trying to reach back, and I'm like, breathe,
It's
breathe,
okay,
breathe.
yeah.
You know, like trying to
Choking
coach her,
on
and
her
she can't,
stuff.
like, yeah, and she's not getting her breath. So I just step on it. We get to urgent care. As soon as we got in there, they looked at her and they were like, you can come back. So we came back, and they immediately like hooked up the breathing treatment and gave her like a steroid, and we did the treatment, and then she kind of came around. And yeah, but I was like, that was so scary for me because I no one else was in the car. I'm driving. I don't know if she can breathe. She's like turning colors, and I'm like, oh my God. So the whole time after when we came home, I just remember like looking at her and like watching her. And then everyone's fucking scaring me about this coronavirus. So then I start Googling shit. And like prior to that, a week before that, she was at the doctor at urgent care, and they said she had strep throat. And so I looked at it, and they're like, oh, you have problems with your throat. Then you have respiratory problem, and I'm like, oh shit, my daughter has got. So now I'm like sitting there, like putting my hands over her, praying over. It was just a disaster. So I think that one goes down in history.
But
for
what
me.
was wrong with her?
So that's when we literally found out that she now picked up that the respiratory and asthma gene. That's actually how I found out that it got her. It skipped my middle son. He doesn't have asthma, and then went straight to her. So that's what it was, that she had like bronchitis, and because she maybe prone to asthma, and they think she has it, but they can't diagnose you technically till you're 7. But I know once the breathing treatments start coming and all that, I already know it. I've been down this road with my oldest. So yeah, that was the diagnosis, but it's pretty scary.
That is freaking scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
Well, hopefully she doesn't get asthma, because I mean, my first son, he was all about those breathing treatments
Really?
for the first
And he
like
didn't
2
get
years of his life, and then no, he didn't get
Oh,
asthma.
okay.
So
Because Devin got him, and then he had it, but he grew
Really?
out of it. He's
Oh,
a
that's
lot
good.
better. He only needs it every once in a while. Okay, so since we said the scariest moment, how do you guys keep yourself from catching the cold? What do you do?
I don't know. I try to do like find vitamins, drink orange juice.
Do you actually try to avoid it, or are you just like, I'm gonna get sick anyway? So
I just always just assume I'm gonna get it, but I never. Here I'm gonna knock
here
on
you
wood
go
again.
tomorrow.
I never end up getting sick.
dang, that's good.
Like that whole episode when like everyone was getting that stomach bug, and like my whole house got it. It was like Lennon, then Levi, then my husband, then my father-in-law. Like everyone got
Except
it,
you?
and I didn't get it. So
That's
I
that
think
fit
I
body
just-
boot camp.
yeah, her.
I think I just
Body's
like already tell myself, okay, I'm sure I'm gonna get it, and I don't know.
Well, don't
Knocking on
brag,
wood.
Mike.
Knocking on wood.
I feel like I remember I used to try to put those little
Masks?
masks on, but it was like, yeah, you're not gonna really wear it that long, you know. And plus, you have a kid. Like my daughter just wants to cough in your face and just like wipe her mocos all over you as she's cuddling. So I'm like, I'm gonna get it, and usually I catch it, but like it's not as severe. I feel like it's way worse for the little ones than it is for.
It is, huh?
us,
and they
yeah.
want you to hold. You can't get anything done when they're sick too, because they want you
yeah.
to hold them the whole
Or sit with
entire
them
time.
the whole time. Yep.
The whole time. For me, you know what? I think I'm just like, I'm gonna try to prevent it, and I'll take vitamin C if I catch it. But I'm like, probably even if I do take more and more vitamin C, I'm probably still gonna get sick.
It's
So-
already
Yeah, but even
inside.
if you're sick, it's like, what's the difference? You still gotta do what you gotta
But
do.
Recently, I will say, everyone in the house got sick, and I was like, okay, I'm going to catch this before it even starts to come my way. And I took that vitamin emergency like 3 times a day. Like I took it in the morning, I took it before
works.
lunch, and I took it at night. And I was like, I did not get sick. So it may really work, because someone could just walk by outside with the door closed that's sick and say, is Roni in there? And I'll get sick. I will get sick. They don't
I
even have to be in
hate
here.
like medicine, and I hate drinking stuff. Like I'm such a little bitch about it. Like I'll take a shot of NyQuil. Like me and my husband will cheers like salud, and then we'll take a shot of NyQuil at night. That's like it for me. But other than that, like any other kind of medicine or like any of those emergencies or
You
And
can't
it's
get
like
it
fizzy,
back.
so
all
it's like carbonated.
bubbly
Yeah.
things, like, no, thank you.
What
I
about
just
the Chewies, the
get me
emergency
sick and let me
gummies?
get over it because
What about the gummies? The emergency gummies?
no, I've never tried it, but I
I'm
don't
gonna
like.
get you
I
some
used to
from
try
upstairs.
those gummy vitamins when I was pregnant because I couldn't swallow the
and you
big
were
old
like-
horse
And you would get
pills,
more sick.
and I would get more sick. So I'm like,
You're traumatized. With
I'm all natural, but not because I'm trying to be. It's
Right.
just because I'm a punk and I don't like to drink all that nasty stuff. But I'll take a shot. No.
I'll take a shot of vodka. I'll take a shot.
See? Oh my goodness.
I know. Like I literally had to plug my nose.
No,
like
you're
my husband
doing
makes
so
that-
much.
I do.
So
not
extra.
when I'm going to take a shot, but like the NyQuil,
that-
I plug my nose, I take it, and then I hurry up and drink the water, and then I let
It
go.
doesn't work when you drink the water after I heard.
No, you can't
What?
let go.
You never heard that?
You can't let go immediately. Oh wait, the medicine?
Yeah,
Oh
have
yeah.
you heard that? They say like if you take the medicine and then you dilute it with water right after, it doesn't. It's
That's
not
what
as
they
effective.
say. I thought my mom was
Who
just
is
lying
they?
to me.
I was gonna say I've never
I
heard of
always
that.
thought my mom was just lying to me because she wanted me to suffer.
No, serious.
But it still works. I
Oh.
take the water and then right after, like you have to go to bed within 10 minutes of NyQuil or else that's it. You lost that little sleep wave.
I have like a
Have you ever
love-hate
noticed?
relationship with NyQuil.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
I love it because I
10
knock
minutes.
out, but in the morning
Wait,
I
are
feel
we
like
talking
shit.
about taking this when
Oh.
you're sick? Or sleep
So
at
she
night?
can sleep.
No, when you're sick.
Oh,
When you're
okay.
sick. Oh my god.
The sleep wave. I was wondering.
What sleep wave? Who sleeps in
So,
gets away?
okay, so here is the $1 million question. Who takes care of you or the household when you're sick? Who
The
does?
hubby. But I always feel bad because then he has to like take work off, so I just
Will he take work off for
he'll
you?
take work off. Like
Aw.
Oh,
But I
that's
like
sweet.
but
That's
see, like I
sweet.
don't ever really get that to the point where he has to. Like I just like push through and get shit done still.
Yeah.
But you have been to the point where you took off work?
Like he
know,
he
but-
has said like, oh, I'll call in.
Taken off.
Like he was expecting to. Like when they all got sick, he was like waiting for me to get sick because
Yeah.
he was like gonna call in and be like, all right, like she's gonna get it next, so just in case, can someone
Do you
swap with
think
me? Or
because he already had it and he knows how bad it was, so he's like, it's gonna hit
Yeah.
him hard? Or do you think if he hadn't caught it yet, he's like, okay, you just gotta roll with it?
I think like if he sees me in pain
Or
or
is he
like
pretty
he's
sensitive about it?
he's like he knows like I can tolerate pain, so if I'm there and can't do shit, he's like okay, it must hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like pray to get sick on the weekend. Like, please, God, just let me get sick on a weekend so that my husband's home so he could baby me. Because if he's not home, I mean, he's got to go to work. He's like, I got to go to work.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'm just like, "Ugh." But
This
you
is
were
not
sick.
fun.
But you were sick on the weekend and I was babying you. Or you took the time off
Yeah.
because you were sick. And now that I'm sick, I still have to do the shit that you know,
Yeah.
like, you still have to do all the things.
It's
not
no fun.
fair.
You don't even
No.
get to use your sick days.
Yeah. No sick days over here.
How about you, Ronnie?
Yeah, pretty much the same. It depends. Like if I'm super, super sick where like I just can't get it together, then most likely my husband will help, but he'll still go to work. So maybe like my mom or my grandma, but that's like sick, like recently, like when I had surgery, like
Yeah.
stepping in. But if I just have a minor cold, no, just walk it off.
Or what if you're
Just
vomiting though? Like, will anybody
I don't
help you
vomit
out?
a lot. Like I rarely vomit. Like even if I had like a whole I rarely vomit.
You're like, if I'm hungover.
So yeah.
Oh my
but-
god.
okay. So then that takes us to our last question. Do mothers get more done when they're sick versus dads? That man sick is different.
Yeah, he's like bed rest. He's like
Mhm.
bedridden when he's sick.
Is
and
he a
he's-
big baby? So is it just a man thing? Like,
It is.
I think
it's
so.
Scientifically proven.
But then, like, you know,
that-
the last time he was sick was that diarrhea vomiting one. So I'm like, all right, just lay in
but
bed.
do you feel like it hits them pretty hard, or it's the same cold and it's just like he's just being a baby about it?
He's gonna hear this.
I
so-
know. I mean, it's okay.
He's really
he's
sick.
tough. He's tough.
I feel like I let him just rest though. Like I don't force him. Like he'll lay there if he's sick, and like I don't ask him to do anything.
Yeah.
So he kind of milks it, I guess.
Yes, totally. That's the perfect word, milking it. My husband will be like, I can't get the baby because I don't want to get her sick.
Yeah, they
and
throw
I'm
it.
like, well, shit, if I'm sick, I still got to go get the baby.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get her sick either
Exactly.
way.
Yeah.
But it's like, he can't get the baby or he doesn't want to be around everybody because he's sick.
Yeah.
So he quarantines himself and
Yeah.
I'm like, I freaking hate you. But I'll give him shit and I'll tell him to his face like that. How convenient. Like how nice.
Right?
How nice.
Must be nice.
I know. But
Her glass is empty, guys. That's why.
But yeah, I feel like I always give him a hard time because I'm like, we have the same cold. Why are you so dramatic? Like, why are you dying and I'm not? You know, and he's like, oh, because I'm a man and it hits me harder. Like my immune system, like by the time I get it. He's like, because by the time I get it, my immune system is so much stronger than yours that it has to like hit me twice as hard.
Oh, brother.
my
And
God.
I think he's full of shit, but there's times that the guy has to go to the doctors because he has, like, it does get to some type of infection, you know?
Wow,
And
you
I'm
got you
like,
believe in this?
So it wasn't the same thing.
but it's weird because, like, mine will be like a head cold, you know, and I'll be done with it in 3 days. And then this will still, like, has to take antibiotics, like, a week later. And I'm like, and he has, like, green phlegm and stuff. But it could also be because he's kind of like my son's, like, when he was younger, he had asthma.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he has a medical reason.
No.
Or he's just,
Who
I think it's
knows?
just guys. Like, I promise every guy that I know that gets sick, like, they are over the top when they're sick. Like, over the top. Like, my husband will do the same thing and, like, oh, no one could be around me. But he's, like, on the couch. And I'm like, we have to walk through this area, brother, to get to where we need to go. Like, why are you on the couch, like, messing up everything? But yeah, but he hardly, I will say he hardly ever gets sick. So if he is like doing that, he's really sick. Like if he's laying on the couch on a weekday, he's fucking sick because he never stops working. So I will give him that. But is it over the top? Yes. Do I need to make all that soup and bring it to you? No. I do. Yeah.
All right. So tell us, how do you survive flu season and who takes care of you when you're sick? Let us know in our Mamas and Mimosas tribe, linked below. Did you know we video record these podcast episodes and post them to our YouTube channel with the bloopers and all? Come laugh with us on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you do not miss an episode. All right, guys, that's it.
Next time. Bye.
Bye. It's empty, so I don't know.
That's bad luck.
Is it really?
No.
Oh.
Bye.